the midst of everyday life, I discovered a peculiar aspect of Japan, the existence of curse agencies. Surprisingly, there were a significant number of such agencies, with people eagerly waiting in line to draw tickets and request curses. Intrigued by this phenomenon, I decided to investigate further. By sheer coincidence, I crossed paths with a shaman who specialized in performing curse rituals. The story she shared with me was so bizarre that I couldn't resist reporting it here. Allow me to narrate the strange events she experienced from her perspective. Before I begin, please don't mistake me for someone who frequently performs curses. I'm simply an ordinary fortune teller who reads tarot cards and horoscopes. My role is to provide comfort to those who have been unjustly suffering. How may I help you?
Life feels so unfair.
Word of mouth has spread about how good I am at what I do, and nothing major had happened until that fateful incident. It all started on a regular day while I was preparing for a curse ritual that I had received a request for. Sitting in front of the altar, dressed in ceremonial attire, I fervently recited incantations. Suddenly, I felt an intense gaze piercing through my body, and to my astonishment, a man materialized on the altar. His presence nearly took my breath away. It was the same man who had recently requested a curse from me. He had come to visit me late at night, wearing a worn-out suit and a slightly desperate expression. "Business hours are over. Please come back another time," I told him firmly.
"You're just a parasitic salary collector. A useless old man. Get out."
The man proceeded to explain that he was being harassed by his younger boss at work. I have learned that another client of mine had introduced me to this man. I recognized him as a regular who often sought fortune-telling from me when he mentioned his colleague's name. He seemed to be at his lowest end, and I felt a growing concern that he might take drastic measures if left alone. His eyes reflected a deep contempt that I wished to shield him from, so I reluctantly agreed to the man's request for a curse. "All right, I will perform the curse ritual for you. However, I need something from you. Can you provide me with a picture of your boss and a strand of his hair? I will need them for the ritual." A few days later, the man came back and handed me an envelope containing the requested items. I then gave him a piece of paper shaped like a person and instructed him to write down the curse he desired. As I caught a glimpse of the word eyes at the tip of his pen, I couldn't help but wonder about the intense contempt his superior must have felt towards him. The man seemed bitter, and I willingly accepted his curse request. Once he left, it was around 2 a.m., I retrieved a wooden box deeply stored in a cabinet. It was a cursed box passed down through generations in our family. Inside the box, a curse was said to be held, originating from a witch who had been falsely accused and executed many centuries ago. It was believed that her spilled blood had congealed within the box. Carefully, I folded the paper containing the superior's hair, photo, and written curse, and sealed it within the box. However, the ritual was not yet complete. The following day, once again at 2 a.m., I ventured into the nearby forest where a shrine was nestled. There stood a majestic sacred tree known as the God Tree, said to emanate a mysterious energy. Before it, I arranged candles in a circular pattern and placed a straw doll at the center. Then, I hammered one big nail into the left leg and another into the right leg of the doll. Lastly, I fulfilled his peculiar request by driving a nail into one of the doll's eyes. The ritual lasted about a month, and it seemed that the curse was taking effect. The man returned to me.
Thank you very much. That one eye, ha ha ha!"
As he was laughing in satisfaction. The man revealed that his superior, who had gone to play golf, had been struck in the eye by a stray ball, eventually resulting in blindness. It appeared that the curse had worked just as intended. Satisfied, he continued,
"So, I have one more request for you."
"Why? Hasn't your wish granted?"
"It's not about that anymore. It's about my wife."
This time he was already prepared. He presented me with a photo of his wife, a woman with long brown hair, who appeared to be 20 years younger than him. Questions stirred within me. How did he manage to marry such a young woman? According to his account, he believed that his wife was involved with another man and conspiring to murder him with the intention of collecting his life insurance money. Overwhelmed, he picked up and handed me again the envelope that I just placed it on the table, forcing me to accept the request. Once again, the curse ritual was performed in the same manner as before. It genuinely seemed as though the effects of the curse were evident, and perhaps the man's anger had subsided. He ceased to visit me, and there was no further news from him. But why? Why did that man suddenly appear before me again? A few days later, during one of my counseling sessions with a client, I noticed the man standing there, waiting. Politely, I informed him that I was in the middle of a session and requested his patience. However, when I finished with the client and sought out the man, he had vanished without a trace. He simply wasn't there anymore. Had he grown tired of waiting and left? I decided to feign indifference, not allowing my mind to dwell on the matter. Coincidentally, there was a curse gathering scheduled for that day. In a hurry, I began tidying up the surroundings, preparing for the ritual. It was then that the cabinet, which stored the cursed box, started making loud noises and trembling. It felt as though someone was inside, pounding on the cabinet. I questioned if I was dreaming or not. As I opened the cabinet door, all that stood behind it was the quiet presence of the cursed box. However, an unsettling feeling began to pervade my senses. There stood a man. Embedded in the man's chest was a large iron stake. My own memories became a blur, and the next thing I knew, I woke up on the floor. An ominous premonition washed over me, especially regarding the iron stake lodged within the man's chest. Could it be a repercussion of the curse ritual? Driven by fear and curiosity, I made my way to the man's workplace. Although I had arrived at the company, I found myself aimlessly wandering through the lobby, unsure of how to locate the man. Suddenly, a woman entered the lobby, and her face seemed strangely familiar. Had I met her as a guest before? I struggled to recall the memory for a while, but as soon as I saw a man welcoming that woman, the memory came back. He was the boss who used to torment the man who had sought my services. The woman handed this boss a lunchbox, and he playfully pinched her cheek. My mind spun with questions. What was the relationship between these two individuals? Just then, a colleague who was both my regular customer and the one who introduced me to that man appeared, and I asked about the relationship between those two. I approached him, desperate for answers. By any chance, do you know the relationship between those two? I inquired, hoping for clarity.
Well, you see, they remarried.
Remarried? Wait, what about Mr. Hiroshi? I asked, my confusion growing.
I thought you knew. Hiroshi passed away a month ago.
Shocked, I returned to my shop, my heart heavy with trepidation. I hastily retrieved the cursed box from the cabinet and opened the sealed envelope within. That's when I realized that something had gone terribly wrong. Instead of containing the hair and photo of the man's wife, the envelope held a picture of the man himself. With trembling hands, I unfolded the paper with the curse written on it. I wish the heart would stop. The curse was directed towards the man. The hair and photo had been swapped. But who could have orchestrated such a twisted switch? Suddenly, the dreadful thought dawned on me. Had the deceased man come seeking retribution? My heart raced with fear. I no longer dabbled in curses. Retribution for actions could only be administered by a higher power, by the hands of the divine. I had learned a haunting lesson about the terrifying price one might pay for recklessly interfering with the natural order.